going to work day in, day out, hour after hour after hour. You're working as hard as you can no matter what you do. You can't seem to survive. You get a second job that's not helping. You call it a side hustle. You're doing everything you can, and the prices keep going up and up and up and up. But your wages aren't going up and up and up. You can't afford college. You can't afford school. You can't afford health care. You can't afford anything. And they keep telling you, oh, it's just inflation. It's inflation. There's nothing we can do. No, it's not inflation. It's capitalism. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, brothers and sisters all over the world. Kakas and dadas and kakas all over the world. The name of this channel is The African Times, and I'm Thomas. All right, brothers and sisters. Today in this broadcast, we talk about those things that affect the lives of people that look like you and me. Black African people all over the world. We talk about world news and events from an African perspective, a Black African perspective. And in this episode today, we're going to talk about inflation. Inflation. You hear this term often thrown about, and it impacts. You hear this term thrown about. You hear these phrases of the price of goods went up. The price of goods are going up because of inflation. And this is happening all over the world. It's not just in your country. It's not only in your neighborhood, but it's happening all over the world. And the reason it's happening all over the world is because there's one group of people who are in control of the world economy. And so today we're going to talk about one aspect of that world economy, and that is inflation. So let's jump right in. What is inflation? What is the truth about inflation? And can inflation be stopped? Now, why do you need to know the truth about inflation? Some people, they're not going to tell you, or they don't want you to know the truth about inflation. They don't want you to know that. What the people don't want you to know is the truth. And why don't they want you to know the truth? Because somebody benefits from you not knowing the truth. Somebody is getting rich from you not knowing the truth about inflation. Now, you may wonder, well, how can someone benefit? Isn't inflation a bad thing? Well, yes, it's kind of a bad thing, but you have to understand how it works. You've heard of price gouging, right? Have you ever heard of that? Okay. Well, when you talk about inflation, what you're talking about is prices of the things you buy. Their prices are rising. They're going up. But they go up because someone makes a conscious decision to raise the prices, to hike the prices. All right. Now, you have to know that this is not a good thing, because you hear things said to you like, well, they're price gouging. We've got to negotiate to prevent the prices from rising. We have to take some action. You'll hear the government talk about taking some action, fiscal policy, the Fed. You'll hear these terms thrown around about what to do to stop the prices from rising. But let me ask you, do politicians really want to prevent prices from rising? Do they? They tell you fiscal policy, which is the government, your government, saying they're going to take action. Fiscal policy. But are they really taking action? Or are they just giving you lip service? It's one or the other. It's not both. So let's take a look at it and see which one we think it really is. So again, what is inflation? Look, simply put, inflation is just the rise in prices of goods and services. It's just, one day you wake up, something used to cost one or two or three or 10, and now it costs 12, 15, or 20. Inflation, the raising of prices. Now, naturally, if you have good common sense, you're going to want to know, well, if one day the price is this and then the next day the price is that, well, who's raising the prices? Who is doing it? Somebody has to do it. If you want to buy a soda and the soda costs you $1, €1, 1 yuan, 1 RMB, whatever, 1 ruble, and then the next day it costs you 2, who raised the price? Well, you have some choices. The business owner, they definitely raise the price. It's their product, it's their store, they manufacture it. They raise the price. But there's somebody else who raises the price. Not directly, but indirectly. A kind of partner of sorts of the government, of the politicians. The politicians, they're partners. They represent you, me, at least that's what they tell us. But they're actually also representing what? The businesses. And we think that that's normal and that's fair. Okay, well, what is really happening, you have two people raising the prices, the business owners and the politicians. We'll go into more about that as we continue. But for now, just keep in mind the politicians, when they work with the business owners to raise the prices, the politicians get more money for their political campaigns. They get them through contributions to the campaign. And sometimes you'll hear things like kickbacks. They get, political favors in the terms of money, donations, contributions. But we're told that that's okay because that's a part of our democratic process, right? So when they help businesses make more money, they benefit by getting more money. When the businesses make more money, one of the ways they can make more money is through inflation. Raising the price of something. You raise the price of it, the people who buy it give you more money. Now you make more money. So this is, again, how businesses make money, and this is why they raise the prices. So the politicians are working with them to raise the prices. So the businesses are kind of like the partner of the politician or the boss of the politician. Now, why do business owners raise prices? It's a very simple answer. It's not complicated, no economic magic mumbo jumbo. No, the politicians, the business owners raise their money because, the business owners raise their prices simply for profit. That's it. No magic formula. The businesses in this global system are capitalists. That's it. That's the only reason. There's no other way to describe it. They are capitalists. They only believe in making a profit. That's it. Nothing else. Now, they don't care about the people or the impact on the people when they raise prices and call it inflation. Now, there are a couple questions here. Should they think of the impact on the people when they raise the prices? Do they have some responsibility, some moral obligation to consider the impact of their actions? Will it hurt people? Will it hurt families? Will it hurt children? Should they consider that? Here's another thing. Well, how much money is enough money, right? Okay, so let's take an example. You raise your prices on milk or bread or eggs or water because they sell us water now, but you raise the prices. Now it becomes difficult for a family of three, a family of four, to buy the things that they normally buy to eat and survive and be comfortable. It becomes a little bit difficult for them to do that. Now, you say, well, the business has to do it because, the price went up. The price went up, so expenses went up, or there was some catastrophe, whatever. So they had to raise prices. Okay. Now they're profiting. You hear all the time, the businesses are making a profit. So you take, for example, a person who's making millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, 50 million. How much money is enough? How much money is enough? If you make 1 million a year, 10 million a year, or 100 million a year, is your lifestyle different? In other words, if you're making 1 million a year, every year, can you live a comfortable lifestyle? Do you think you can get the things that you need? I'm talking about you, not them. They're doing it. I'm talking about you. If you could make 1 million a year, or even 10 million, let's just say 10 million, because for a millionaire, 10 million a year is not a lot of money, because there are people making 100 million, 50 million, 20 million, 30 million. But let's just say 1 million or 5 million. Do you think you would be able to live comfortably? Do you think you would have to struggle week to week, month to month with issues about how to pay your bills? Do you have enough to buy milk, bread, water? Will your children have enough clothing? Do you think you would have that as an issue? Okay, well, it's just something to consider. So, because why do businesses and business owners raise the prices? For profit. But how much profit is enough profit? Somebody is teaching you that they need unlimited amounts of money. Unlimited amounts. That's interesting. Unlimited amounts. They just can't seem to make it off the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 million a year. They just can't seem to make it. But we know it's possible to make it, to survive, to scratch and scrape, and because why? You're doing it. I'm doing it. People like us, we're scraping and trying to survive. Okay, all right. So then let's ask this other question. Why do you have inflation? In other words, what are we being told is the reason inflation is occurring? It's occurring. Why? Well, we're told that there's some catastrophe, there's some event, there's some crisis. Businesses use these crises as an excuse, a reason, a justification for inflation. And remember what that means. Businesses use the crises as a reason to raise prices. Now, let's look at that for a minute. Let's put on our common sense hat and just think about this for a second. Okay, some crises, they're real. They actually happen. There are some real crises like say an earthquake or a hurricane. There's something that causes damage to a business in some way. Maybe there's a hurricane and it knocks out one of the plant's power source, and so they can't produce the normal amount of goods and services. Maybe they shut down for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Maybe there's something that happens as an earthquake, the road is damaged, the trucks can't get to business to bring the supplies that they need, the inputs to make the things that they need. So let's say something like that happens. That's real. We know it's real. So in the event of, let's say there's war, like in over there in where? Israel and Palestine, let's say, and they're blocking, as you hear, the Red Sea, and so now ships can't come in. It's real. So there's an increase in maybe the cost for the business to bring you the product. They used to travel down around the water, but now they can't go around this way, so they have to go a much longer way. That's costing them a little bit more in fuel, and now because maybe the earthquake, they can't drive down the road they used to drive down, so they have to go some other place. Yeah, all of that is increasing their cost. No problem, okay? And that could create a product shortage. And you'll hear these things because they're talking about it's economics and it's inflation, the reason why they're raising the price. So there's a product shortage affecting supply and demand. This is what they tell you. These very educated, sophisticated terms, this is what they tell you. But what it really comes down to is the business is making a decision to raise the price. And they're using this particular crisis as justification for raising the price. Now, here's what I want you to consider. Okay, remember we just talked about profits. Whether you make $1 million or 5 million or 10 million or 20 million. For one person, a family, a group of people, 10, 12 people, they each making 10 million, 15 million, 20 million. Okay. All right. So here's another way to look at it, to think about it. Because you can do that. You have your own mind. You have common sense, I hope. I hope it hasn't left you. But just use your own common sense lens. If the person is making that kind of money, 10, 20 million a year, and they've been doing that for 5, 10 years, should the business raise the price when there's some problem that really occurs? Should they do that? Or should they consider, well, we have been making millions, hundreds of millions for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I have plenty of money in the bank. I'm a business owner, but I've got 50 million in the bank, 100 million. Maybe during the course of this tragedy, this catastrophe, maybe we won't raise the prices on the people because people are struggling right now. They're living week to week, paycheck to paycheck. We won't take advantage of the situation financially. We won't do that. In other words, should the businesses be morally responsible for helping the people during these events, these catastrophes? The problem is, whether you believe they should or not, someone is actually giving you information to convince you that they shouldn't. They shouldn't help the people and that they have no moral responsibility. And in fact, it's anti-capitalistic. This is what they're teaching you. They're telling you through your education, no, businesses got to make a profit. If they don't make a profit, they're not going to be able to survive. This is what they're telling you. Now, the reality is that these people that they throw in front of you, you got now it's Elon Musk, or back when I was younger, it was Bill Gates, and then it was Steve Jobs, and then Forbes, and all of these people who were rich, who you being told are your role models. These people are geniuses, and we should follow their lead, and they work themselves. How much money is enough money? If you say, okay, for the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years, you're not going to make any money because you're going to help the people and prevent the prices from rising, stop the inflation, what's going to change in their lifestyle? Nothing. And not to mention the fact that they could not have achieved what they achieved without you. You have to buy the products. You share. You're a partner. Yeah, you put this out, I'm going to take a chance, I'm going to risk, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to see if it works, see if I like it, see if it helps me, and then I'm going to give you some money. They use not only their current knowledge, but they use the history of the history of information, the history of knowledge gained by people hundreds and hundreds of years before them, thousands of years. They didn't just make this up on their own. They didn't do that on their own. No, this is just simply not true. So, do the businesses have a moral obligation to help the people? Now, keep in mind, we talked about real crisis. What about fake crises? Let me give you an example. Okay, so the company tells you that we have to raise the prices because COVID. Okay, okay. Man, we couldn't operate. People not working, so to get the things to you, we had to raise the price. But could you have not raised the price? Yeah, you could have. The things. If the people can't go to work, they can't produce the product. No problem. It didn't cost you any more. It didn't cost you any more. You had to wait. Supply and demand. The demand is high, but we only have a short supply. So, business economics requires us to raise the price. Inflation. Justification for it. Now, the business economics could also teach you that, well, during the events that occur with Christ, we come together. We unite and we work together for the benefit of the people. We sacrifice so that those people who are less fortunate don't go without. Remember, no child left behind. But the education is different. Harvard and Yale and Princeton and Oxford and all, Cambridge. These people who went to school at these prestigious universities come out and tell us, well, no, so you have to understand this is profit, it's survival of the fittest, we Keynesian economics, and we have to, But no education on the moral responsibility of all of us to come together and work together for the benefit of ourselves and our people and our children and our society. No, just capitalism, just profit. So inflation. Oh, I'm sorry, we inflate. It's raise the prices. Now we're going to talk a little bit about why and why, but you got to first understand who raises the prices. I told you a little bit earlier. Businesses and the government. They are the people raising the prices. Now let's look at that. Let's see. Well, how would the government raise the price? They don't own the business. We know the businesses own it. A man, a woman. It ain't just some concept. No, it's a man, it's a woman, it's a team of people. They make a conscious decision to raise the price. Okay, so businesses, I'll give you an example. Businesses directly raise the price. Why? For their benefit, for profit. They directly do it. They make a decision. They come together, the board, and okay, listen, we got this other thing over here. It's catastrophe. We got to raise the price. Why? The truck drivers, they not driving. And the airplanes, they can't deliver the stuff on time. And the cost of fuel. And you think that that's a justification. You and me, because of the education, think that that is a good reason to make life difficult and hard for us. Well, they're still making a profit. I'm going to show you that in a minute. So if you think it's good because of your capitalist education, remember, we're raised in a capitalist education. The schools are there to teach you, not to teach you the importance of coming together, being together, working together, development of the society, and how we can use all of the advancements in society to benefit us. They're there to teach you to be a good employee, to be a good steward of your business owner's property and business, and how to improve that business, how to make that business more successful, not for you, for them. Listen, you have to understand, the business or the boss, they have one goal, and that's to make money and to stay in business. That's it. There's nothing else. No consideration for you, the employee. That's why they'll lay off thousands at one time and And then they'll have people roll out on the media, come out, and the media is a part of the government. Don't misunderstand. They come out and tell you, well, you have to understand it's recession now, the current economy, things look gloomy, and they're expecting that they won't be able to make money. Now, remember, I just told you they got hundreds of millions in the bank. So even if they've never made any more money, they'll have enough money for the rest of their lives, their future generation. The very thing that I'm telling you we're talking about here, these people have enough money to take care of their children and their posterity, their elderly, their friends and family. But that's all they want to do. That's all they care about. As I told you, ask yourself, 1 million a year, 10 million a year, 100 million a year. Is your lifestyle really going to change that much? No. So what they're doing, they're using a little bit of truth as manipulation through your education. Yes, they have to make money for the business to survive. No one's saying that they don't. Yes, you have to make money to keep a business going. The problem is extreme inequality. For a person to come and tell you that one human being needs to have 3 trillion, 4 billion, 10 billion, while you have children who can't get proper nutrition because their parents barely make enough money to pay the rent, to pay the car, the transportation, to get back and forth to work so they can keep struggling every week to work the second job, to drive over there, to do the side hustle. This is what they tell you. That's using truth to manipulate you in such a way that you support your own oppression at the hands of these people that they tell you are heroes. Gates. And what's the dude's name? I'm changing this to X because I'm for the people. Right? Really? Elon Musk? Really? Really? And I'm not calling these two out. They're just a part of the whole group. It's a bunch of people you don't even know their names. You never will, because they don't care about that. They don't care about you. They don't care about the publicity. Just some of them, they have egos. They want the publicity. And they have to have, the system itself has to have a hero that they put in front of you to make you believe and follow in this nonsense. In your own oppression and your own support of keeping you struggling from week to week and starving. Okay, so we know the business owner. We know that they raised the price. No problem. Well, what is difficult for us to see and understand is that the government is raising the price also. The government, your government, the people you vote for, your vote, yeah, they're raising the price. Now, how are they doing that? I didn't raise the price. I talked to the Republicans saying they're trying to lower the price. The Democrats say they want to lower the price. Inflation, we got to help the people. And you got to stop doing that, businesses, is what you hear. But is that really what's happening? Now, the government's raised the price by not stopping the businesses from raising the price. In other words, the government says, yes, inflation is occurring, and we're doing everything that we can to lower inflation. But the reality is, as I told you before on many occasions, Republicans going to tell you, we're trying to stop the inflation. We got this legislation. This is our fiscal policy. We want to do this is stop the inflation. Democrats, oh no, what they're talking about, that's not going to work. We don't believe that that's going to work. We can't do that. We have our own choice. This is the way we think it should be done. And so they argue back and forth. And guess what? The next day, prices go up again. Nothing gets done. But you actually believe, well, then maybe the problem is I need to elect this person. Let me vote for that person, because if that person gets elected, then they're going to step up. And haven't you noticed this same argument has been taking place for 50, 60 years, 100 years? You can't see that? Okay, all right, so I just told you that the government actually raises the price because they're not going to do anything to stop the price from raising, okay? Okay, now, but there's another way that the government does it. The government actually partners with the businesses. They're paid employees of the business. They're in cooperation. They're in league with these businesses. And how do they do that? Okay. Me and you, we can't just walk up and say we want to talk to the congressman. We can't do that. We can't go see a senator. We can't see the president whenever we want to. No. But those businesses, the big ones, the ones with money, they can do that. And they don't do it directly. They don't walk up in all cases by themselves. No, they have representatives. They have lobby groups. They have organizations that act on their behalf. And they tell you that this is good. We're a foundation. We help for the benefit. We're here to make sure. They're not doing any of that. Haven't you noticed nothing within your situation is changing? But they have all of these efforts, everything that they say that they're doing. The government is there to present to you a political theater, a theatrical production, a show, so that you believe that you have representative government, remember, that you have representatives actually acting on your behalf with these people. Now, keep in mind, the businesses, they're Americans. That's what they tell you. You're my fellow Americans, right? Okay. Then why aren't they operating to help other Americans? Oh, we're doing everything. We're going to give people some handouts. We're donating some food. You donating some food. Okay, we eat that food up. Now what? Well, you took the jobs away. You're not giving me a raise every week so I can survive for years and years and years. You're just giving me some food that might last me 2 days, 3 days, or a week. Okay? But the government is not acting in any way concretely to stop it, to change it. Why? Because they make their money, they get their donations, they get their contributions, they get all that from the business. So they will never do anything to stop that. The inflation. They're not going to do it. They're part of it. Okay, so let's clearly there are two groups. The businesses and the government, they're the same. Some people back in the day, I don't know if you remember fascism, that word that they threw out. Remember that? Fascism combination of the government and the owner class, the business class coming together to maintain an economy that keeps them rich and powerful and with most of the wealth. Okay? And then you can't do anything because you don't have any wealth. There really isn't that big of a difference between calling it fascism and then just not calling it fascism, but operating in a fascist manner. And this is what you see. Now, we're just afraid to say it. But everybody, all the people know it. The other people who really know it, they're not going to say anything because they're getting paid. Okay, all right, so let's leave that. We know it's two people. There's no question about it. This fact is the business of the government. And I'm going to show you why it's a fact with the government. Because the government, they can stop it. They can stop it. Okay, let me give you an example. I didn't know this. I had to learn this. But all of your people, your experts from these great universities, they know. These historians, these economic geniuses, these people, they know. In the early 70s, sometime around 70, 71, 72, there was a guy named Nixon. Hey, Tricky Dick. You remember? I'm not a crook. You remember? You remember all that foolishness? Listen, back then they had an inflation. Prices soaring. Oh, in the recession, it's a catastrophe. Oh! You remember? You probably don't remember because the education, truth mixed in with a whole bunch of lies. In some cases, a lie is just not giving you the information. Remember? The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They're telling you how they do it. They're telling you. So back in the early 70s, the government, to stop inflation, passed some legislation and literally said the next day, after this legislation is enacted, the next day, if you raise prices in business, if you raise your prices, you're going to jail. Mm, Interesting, isn't it? That you can just say in one day, that if you do this, you're going to jail. Now, remember the business excuse. Oh, but we can't. If we raise the price, oh my God, if we don't get the money, the business is going to fail. We're not going to make any money. Oh, you're going to cause businesses to go out. Great and powerful United States in the 70s when they did that, did the country crumble into nothingness? No, it's still here. It's still here. Everybody woke up the next day, no problem. People still went to school, went to work there, but their prices stopped. One day. Now, you're told right now, this is the manipulation. There's nothing that they can do. They're trying to do this, and we're raising fiscal policy. You can't just say stop it. Let me show you how simple it is to say stop it. Do you remember out there, any of you? I'm struggling to kind of remember. There was this thing called, what's it called? Oh, COVID. Do you remember that? It seems to me I remember that situation happening a few years back, and the government were able to put in, the governments were able to put in policies and restrictions that took effect immediately. And if you violated those things, you experience some harsh consequences and stop some things. Can't go outside, don't get a curfew. They're able to do that immediately, but they can't seem to do anything to stop the prices from rising. They just can't seem to work that part out. It's incredible. So what I'm showing you here is, remember, no, it can be stopped. And the government showed you that they can do it in the United States back then. And remember, it's not Nixon. No, it's not him. The government, the president, they're just puppets. They're just people they're the mouthpiece. This political theater. You got to have somebody stand up and say, this is our leader. And every 4 years it changes. And he's the one. That's all they're doing. And you know this. Many of you know it deep inside. It's like the Matrix with Neo. Okay, with Neo, you know you've been feeling this. And you're okay. Do you understand? So at some point, you're going to have to recognize that the education is just manipulation, so that you allow and you go through these things with them and you don't complain. And if you do complain, you complain a little bit. You complain in the way they want you to, peacefully. You protest, but peacefully. And come, and it is a great protest. We behave very peacefully. The people, and then it continues on to the next crisis. Do you understand? Now, we as people that look like me and you, we know this policy. Hang a person, kill a person, do whatever. And then, peacefully. Yeah, talk, yep, come on, make your speech peacefully. Let's continue on until the next time you lynch somebody. Okay, but that's another story. We'll get to that. But it's the same concept. It's the same idea because they know it works. So they apply it in every situation. So remember, you have a factual, for those of you who want to look, you have a factual time in history where they stopped it immediately in one day. Yeah. So when they roll out of their mouths through their media is government, when they roll out of their mouths that there's nothing they can do, we're doing everything that we can to do people. I can't because the Republicans won't go. Well, I can't because okay, the Democrats won't let me. Okay, all right, well, the only policy we have is fiscal policy. No, you can stop it. You did it before. It worked and the company didn't die. No business went out. They still reported what? Record profits later. Okay? So don't fall into the nonsense. Okay, now, who benefits from the price increase? It should be obvious to you. It should be obvious to you. I just told you 2 people who do it. And why would they do it? Who benefits? Obviously, companies, businesses benefit directly from price increases. They didn't give you a raise. You didn't benefit. When the price increase and they make more money, and they do make more money, I'm going to show you. When the prices increase, do they give you a higher salary? Did you get that? No, I don't. Do you realize, first, you didn't get it, and they won't give it to you. They're never going to do that. This is the businesses. In actuality, when you adjust for, different time periods, if you take the amount of money that you were being paid 50, 60 years ago, it hasn't increased. The cost of goods and services are going up through inflation, but it hasn't increased for you. You haven't gotten more money. In fact, you probably got less. And keep in mind, they know the price increase. Why haven't they changed the minimum wage? It's still at, I think, $7 or something. The federal minimum wage. The federal, the people who control the whole country. So what they tell you, what they're telling you is, well, we don't really have a concern about whether or not you can make enough money to survive. We don't have that concern. Why? Because our partners, our bosses, have to make money. That's why we let them raise the prices, but we don't demand that they raise your minimum wage. Do you understand what's happening here? Okay, all right, so let's move on. So we know the businesses benefit directly from the price increases. They get higher salaries and higher bonuses, and they don't give you a raise, which means when they increase the prices, they're just making more money because your here's a little fancy little economic term, accounting kind of. Your wage is a fixed expense. Yeah, yours is gonna stay the same, consistent. But no, they're gonna raise them prices. Okay, now remember there was give you an example of a time where it's crises. Remember the auto bailout? Do you remember that? Do y'all remember that? Oh, the auto company's gonna fail. GM's gonna go on. They're too big to fail, like the banks. They can't, because if they do, people are gonna lose their jobs. They need money. The government's got to bail them out. Give them a whole lot of money. You remember that? Okay. All right. Do you also remember this didn't have as much fanfare as the fact that we had to give them, the government had to give them the money, which they tell you is your money. It's a lie. It ain't your money. They don't care about your money. It's supposed to be your money, but it's really not. So I can't accept the pretense that, yes, it was our money, it's our taxes. If it's yours, you can do what you want with it. But you clearly can't do what you want with it. You'll make any decisions, not at all. You can say whatever you want. You're not controlling nothing. Anything, you don't. So after they gave the money to the auto industry, the companies, through a really short few years, 4 or 5 years, they reported record profits. Now, how do you do that? You at the brink of disaster, failure. You can't survive another day unless you get this money. But in 3, 4, 5 years, you're going to turn the whole business around where you're making more profits than you've ever made in the history of your industry. And you believe that. You want us to believe this. No, it doesn't work that way. And if you put your common sense on, you realize, well, okay, again here, some more education and manipulation. And then when they got that money, did they raise your rates? Did they do that? In other words, did they raise your salary comparable to the inflation rise over the past 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years? No, they did not, and they will not. They benefit directly. And do they have enough money? Of course they do. Of course they do. You keep talking about hundreds of millions of money, billions, billionaires. Do you understand? Okay, all right, now, you have a record that proves to you no record salary increase for you, record profits for them. The executives, bonuses. Remember, the bonuses, we got to stop paying the bonuses. They got so much money, they can just pay individuals millions and millions. They give it to them in stock. I don't care what they give to. They can take the stock and take the value of the stock and give it to you and put it back into your salaries. Don't be foolish. Use your common sense. So what you have, as I told you, you are told they cannot give you any money to raise your salary or the business will fail. But they get bonuses. It's a contradiction. They get bonuses, record profits, but they just don't have any money to raise your salary, or the business will fail. Okay. Remember, there's no change in their lifestyle from 10 million to 15 million to 29 and making 50 million. No change. Now, all this time, all of this talk and this education, all this going on, you're struggling from week to week, month to month to survive, to get the basic necessities. Why? Because the prices are going up. The gas is going up. It's hard to get to work. And oh my God, I got to have this amount of money. Rent on a single apartment is so high that nobody can afford it on minimum wage in the whole country. But you're told, oh, well, no, it's these heroes. The Musk and the Gates and the Jobs and the this one and the that one and all that. You just got to do better. You got to work hard. Pull yourself up. You can do it. Get your education. Okay? Now, let me ask you, can the increases, ask yourself seriously, can the increases in the prices of goods and services, inflation, can that be stopped? Now, this is a trick question. It's a trick question because I already gave you the answer. I'm just asking you now directly with all this information, can the inflation be stopped? Because they tell you it can't. So let me help you. You take an exam and they give you a bonus question. I'm going to give you a bonus answer. Yes, of course, the inflation can be stopped. I gave you an example of when they stopped it. They don't even tell that to all these people following behind the U.S., the allies. These people following behind these people, following their economic policies and doing what they're told to do. These puppets all over in different governments, you name it, Japan, Australia, UK, wherever, France, wherever, Britain, Germany, wherever, that they're following these economic policies and these same things. The same thing is happening all over the world. They can stop the inflation too. But here comes that good old education. The education from the businesses, from the business experts. These businesses pay the salaries of these business experts. Not directly, in some cases, directly. But in other cases, in many cases, we support the foundation of the school, the endowment for the school. So the school now, the school understands that, okay, well, if we're going to support you with this endowment, with this foundation, then the philosophy of the business department needs to follow a certain philosophy, maybe a conservative philosophy or a progressive philosophy. All of this nonsense doesn't affect you in any way other than the fact that you still struggle from week to week to week to week to month to survive. Now, the only thing really to do, this is what they tell you, the only thing that we can do to try to solve this problem is maybe the Fed, we could do it through fiscal policy, monetary policy. Maybe the Fed can raise interest rates. Now, this is interesting. Raise interest rates. In other words, raise the cost of the money. Have any of you people, any of you directly, have you ever directly taken a loan out from the Fed? Have you ever done that? I want somebody to put in the comments if they've ever done that. But now, let's say that you could. Okay, so they're going to raise the interest rate to stop the inflation, to slow it down. Cost of money is going to go up. Maybe, I guess. Right? Okay, well, who's going to make money if that happens? Somebody's making money because you raise the interest rates, meaning, all right, if you want to borrow money, businesses, they want to borrow money, it's going to cost them more money. Now, is that going to affect you positively? No, they did that before. They do it every time. It's the same story. Well, we did this, but it's slowing into growth, and then they give you all this mumbo jumbo. But the reality is, nothing in your life is changing. Nothing. But again, this is pretending that they're doing something. But at the end of the day, the banks make more money when that happens, not you. Businesses, they benefit. They don't lose money, no, because they're continuing to raise the prices. It's just kicking the can down the road. Just they're saying, kicking the can down the road. Okay, it just means that the banks make more profit, and it's justified by whatever the catastrophe is, or inflation is, or we got to raise prices. Now, while all this time acting like that they don't have any other choice. But what did I tell you? I showed you a point in history when they actually stopped it. They stopped it. And back then, they didn't really do that for your behalf. There was probably some other benefit that they had to do it. And sometimes, in the case of we got to keep the people calm, things are happening, people are going there. I remember back then, they just had where they had to roll out the tanks in the cities, the National Guard, because people were struggling, people were upset. The life in America is horrible. So we're gonna make America great back to that point, to that time. Lies, lies, and more lies. Remember, Nixon, during that time that he was pretending to be the leader, was the president of the United States, they passed the legislation and stopped it in one day. Okay? And that's what I tell you, it's not Nixon. He and all the presidents, they're just spokesmen for the businesses. They work together. They're spokesmen. They're puppets who do what they are told. If they do a good job, they get rich. If they don't do what they're told, they won't get rich and they might get killed. Remember, it has happened in history, right? Not only once. You understand? This is their facts, their history, and the reality is it's there. We're supposed to ignore it to our own detriment. When does that stop? This is the capitalist government and policy of all the states in the capitalist system, whether it's the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, all of that European Union, Australia, they're helpful. They're helpful mates over there in Japan. They follow the same program because it's the same group of people running it. And it's not going to change. So guess what? They all do it with no exception. None. Okay? Now, they do it, but why keep the inflation going? Why? We already know they're doing it for profit. Pure and simple. To make more money. Period. And if you take the money and you keep it all over here so that a very small group of people have it, then those people over here who are struggling and surviving and trying to live every day, they can't survive. They're not stable. It's another word they use, instability. Why? Because the businesses have to make money at any and all costs. Profit. Forget the people. Forget what the people need, what they want. It doesn't matter. Forget the democracy. It's fake and it doesn't matter. Voting will not change a thing. You've been voting your entire life. And what? Everything is still continuing. It's continuing the same. There are no changes. You really think something has changed? You really think that you're voting from this president to the next president, from that president to the next president? You really think that has changed? No, nothing has changed, but you can keep doing it. Feel good about it. If it makes you feel good, I want you to be happy. I care about you in a way that you wouldn't believe. That's why I'm telling you these things. So again, it's fake. It doesn't matter. All of this, I'm trying to help you know. You educate the people well. This is what they do. They educate you well in the false belief that your vote matters. Your vote, you can change everything. Remember, Black Lives Matter. Your vote matters. Well, I gotta tell you, all lies. You know, and I know, Black lives don't matter. Not to them. Come on. Okay, all right. Okay, so if Black lives don't matter, you really think your vote matters? Because every election, right? Who do they go to? Oh, the black voters. You got the black vote. I'm trying to get the black vote. The Black lives don't matter, but a black vote matters. Have you lost your mind? And particularly, I'm talking to people that look like me and you. You run around following this ridiculous pattern of insanity. And let me tell you, because I really want you to understand, you'd be better off getting your own people among the group of the 50, 60, 70 million of the black people in the state. You'd be better off just organizing yourselves and such and going and talking to each other and figuring out, okay, look, this is what we got. What do we have? Everybody take an assessment. This is what I got. This is what you got. Okay, well, how can we use this to benefit? Well, what can you do? You're a scientist. Oh, you're an engineer. Okay, you got this skill. Okay, well, you got this thing. You got this little bit of money. You got that little bit of money. Okay, well, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to elect this person. Everybody, y'all go around. Hey, brother, meet us over here. Tell us what your plan is. Okay, well, let me listen. You do that with them. They don't even come to your neighborhood and talk to you. You see these people very infrequently. But you believe that you're voting for these people, and you don't even know these people. They pop up on the television. You never heard of them before. Then after, once they get in there, the next 20, 30 years, AOC! Sanders, Bernie Sanders. Did anything change? I don't have anything against Bernie Sanders, AOC, or anybody else. I don't really care. Whether you care or not, it's not going to matter. They don't care. They're not going to change. It's not gonna change. It's all lies. It'll never change anything. You ain't voting nothing in America. It's not true. Look, there was a study by one of their great schools, Ivy League school, something like this, Princeton or something, I can't remember. And in this study, they showed that 95% of what the people want never gets voted on. Never gets voted on. They didn't hold a vote. And if they do, it's turned down. Now, I mentioned this to you before. It's just, the majority, this is what they told us, democracy is the majority. Representative the majority, and then you get what you want because it's the majority of what the people want. And so we all kind of will follow that decision because it's the majority of people want it. And the majority of people in America, they don't have no money. They're poor. I don't care what you say. You can fix it up whatever way you want. This middle class group of people who put there to talk how good the system is and show how well they benefited and see if you just do like me. It's a very small number of people. The majority of people are struggling week to week, period. And if you want to make something up and pretend, then you go right ahead. But that's the fact. The majority of the people, they want health care. Yeah. The majority of the people. And the other ones, they don't care if it's not going to hurt them. They don't care why. They want it, but you can't vote on it. You can't get it. The wealthy, this is what they tell you. The wealthiest country in the world, the greatest country on earth. Oh my God. And other people told you they were the greatest. Remember these people, Barnum and Bailey, the greatest show on earth? Do you remember that? Well, this is the same situation. We got a circus. Greatest country on earth, but you can't afford to give your people, the people who you say are really government of the people, by the people, for the people, all this nonsense, you say that their voting can change their lives because the vote is the most powerful one. People died for the vote. Do you understand? Nothing's changed. Not one thing. If you're going to die for a cause, make sure it's a cause you're going to get some benefit for. You're not going to die for nothing. Right? Right? Your vote, it didn't change anything. You wanted health care, you can't get it. I guarantee you the majority of the people struggling trying to go to the universities in their country, the children who want a better future, who are trying, I told you, and then the elderly people who are suffering and looking at their children struggle and it's hurting them because their children can't afford to go to school. And then when they do, they got to take a loan out. But yet, greatest country in the world, richest country in the world. And these other countries, Germany is one, education is free. And let me tell you, I talked to somebody in Saudi Arabia, education is free. And when they say free, it's not only necessarily that it's free. I mean, literally free. It may be in some cases, but the expense is so low that the individuals can afford to go in mass. Majority of people, the average person with no money, who's not rich, they can go. Okay? Okay. All right. They can go. But not in America. The richest, greatest, most powerful that we've been hearing our entire lives over and over and over and over and over again. Can't afford it. All right. Okay. All right. Well, just like Black Lives Matter, fake. None of our lives matter. Nope, fake. Can you explain to me? Can you please, in the comments, somebody explain to me how there's no money for the health and welfare of our children and our people, but you can pull out of a hat, like pulling a rabbit out of a hat, 100 billion, 200 billion, to just give away to people in another place for war. Can you explain that to me? Where did that money come from? Just type it into a computer. Bitcoin! What? You mean to tell me you were able to, well, we have to do it. We have to protect, we have to help those people. And the people here, you don't feel that obligation. And you said it was their money. Did you get asked if that's how you wanted to spend $2 billion? They keep talking about it's in Congress right now to give them $65 billion. Can't seem to get a vote on that though, can you? For everybody, for the majority to make a decision. Which one of you proposed to do that? The people that look like you and me, and in this case, you other people. Which one of you did you propose that? Is that the best use of your resources? Oh, okay. All right. So let me just make something clear. If you don't understand, inflation is basically the rise of prices on all the things that we buy, the products, and the people doing that, raising those prices, business owners, individual people who own businesses, and their good old partners, the government. The politicians. The government ain't no, it's individuals. They have names. You know, they say they represent you. They have names. Them work with the other people to raise the prices. So just like Black Lives Matter is fake, none of our lives matter. The only thing that matters, profit matters. Capitalism. Profit matters, and only profit matters. So, the coffee is brewing. Wake up and smell it. The African Times, I'm Thomas. Uhuru, uhuru, uhuru.